The night had descended upon the small, forgotten town of Willowbrook, casting an eerie silence over its streets. I had always been drawn to the strange and macabre, so it was only natural that, on a whim, I decided to venture into the old cemetery that lay on the outskirts of town. Little did I know that this impulsive decision would plunge me into a nightmarish world that would haunt me for the rest of my days. The cemetery had always been a place of rumors and legends. People whispered of strange happenings within its iron gates. Some claimed to have heard voices in the dead of night, while others swore they had seen shadowy figures moving among the tombstones. I had dismissed these tales as the fanciful stories of superstitious townsfolk, but on that fateful night, I would come to question everything I thought I knew. As I approached the cemetery, the air grew noticeably colder, and a thick, foreboding mist hung low over the graves. The moonlight filtered through the dense canopy of ancient trees, casting eerie, elongated shadows that seemed to dance and sway with a life of their own. My heart raced as I pushed open the rusty iron gate, its hinges groaning in protest. The gravestones loomed like silent sentinels in the darkness, their inscriptions worn away by centuries of wind and rain. I moved deeper into the cemetery, my footsteps echoing in the stillness. It felt as though the very earth beneath me was holding its breath, waiting for something. A sudden gust of wind sent shivers down my spine, and I pulled my coat tighter around me. The cemetery seemed different at night, transformed into a realm of eerie beauty and unsettling tranquility. I couldn't help but feel a strange sense of unease, as if the very ground I walked upon was aware of my presence. I stopped in front of a particularly weathered gravestone, its name barely legible. As I squinted to make out the faded letters, I heard a faint whisper, like a sigh on the wind. I turned sharply, scanning the darkness for any sign of movement, but there was none. "Is someone there?" I called out, my voice trembling. The only response was the distant hoot of an owl. I told myself it was just my imagination, playing tricks on me in the eerie silence of the cemetery. I continued my exploration, drawn deeper into the heart of the graveyard. The moon hung low in the sky, casting an otherworldly glow on the tombstones. It was then that I noticed a faint, ghostly light flickering among the trees. It was a pale, ethereal glow, like the soft radiance of a will-o'-the-wisp. My curiosity piqued. I followed the light deeper into the cemetery. As I approached, the light began to take shape, coalescing into the form of a woman. She was beautiful, with long flowing hair and a gown that seemed to shimmer with an otherworldly light. She stood beside a grave, her gaze fixed on the tombstone with a look of profound sadness. "Who are you?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. She turned to me, her eyes filled with an ancient sorrow. "I am Isabella," she whispered, her voice like a faint breeze through the trees. "I have been waiting for you." I took a step back, my heart pounding in my chest. Waiting for me? Why? Isabella beckoned me closer, her hand outstretched. "You are the one who can set me free, the one who can end my torment." I was both terrified and mesmerized by her presence. Against my better judgment, I approached her, my hand trembling as I reached out to touch hers. As our fingers made contact, a surge of icy coldness shot through me, and I felt a rush of memories flood my mind. Isabella had been a young woman, unjustly accused of witchcraft in a time when such accusations were a death sentence. She'd been buried alive in this very cemetery, her soul bound to the earth by a powerful curse. For centuries, she had waited for someone to come along who could break the curse and set her free. I was that someone, the unwitting traveler who had stumbled upon her grave in the dead of night. The weight of her centuries-long suffering pressed down upon me, and I knew I had to help her. But the task would not be easy, for the curse that bound her was powerful and dark. Isabella led me to a small hidden crypt nestled among the tombstones. The air inside was heavy and suffocating, and the walls seemed to close in around me. In the center of the crypt stood an ancient ornate chest, covered in intricate carvings and symbols. "This is where the curse lies," Isabella said, her voice filled with desperation. "You must open it and break the curse that binds me." I hesitated, my hand hovering over the chest. The symbols on its surface seemed to writhe and twist like living creatures, but I knew there was no turning back. With trembling fingers, I opened the chest. A blinding light burst forth, illuminating the crypt in a brilliant, ghostly glow. The symbols on the chest melted away like wax, revealing a single shimmering gemstone nestled inside. It pulsed with an otherworldly energy, and I knew that this was the source of the curse. I reached out and touched the gemstone, and as soon as my fingers made contact, a searing pain shot through me. Memories and emotions flooded my mind, the pain and suffering of centuries etched into the very core of my being. I screamed, unable to bear the weight of it all. But I also felt something else, the presence of countless souls, trapped and tormented by the curse. They cried out for release, their voices echoing in my mind. With every ounce of strength I could muster, I channeled that energy, directing it at the gemstone. The gemstone shattered, and a shockwave of energy rippled through the crypt. The ground trembled beneath me, and the walls of the crypt crumbled to dust. Isabella's form began to fade, her eyes filled with gratitude and relief. "Thank you," she whispered, her voice fading with her form. "I am free." And then she was gone, leaving me alone in the ruins of the crypt. The curse had been broken, and the cemetery was silent once more. But the memories of that night would never leave me, and I knew that I had been forever changed by my encounter with the restless spirits of the night cemetery. "This is where the curse lies," Isabella said, her voice filled with desperation. "You must open it and break the curse that binds me."